This is the first time we've had multiple states, so I'm really glad to see so many different people joining us today. All right. I think we will get going. Thank you all so much for joining us today. My name is Leanne Schmitz, and I'm the Regional Admissions Manager for Cal Poly. And I want to welcome all of the admitted students and your parents and supporters that are joining us here today. And congratulations. This is a really big deal. We're so excited that you've been admitted to Cal Poly, and we're so happy to welcome you to the Mustang family. We really hope that the session today is going to help answer some of the questions that you might have about what it's going to be like to be a student at Cal Poly. We know how much you all have been through this last year and surviving a global pandemic. And so I hope that you realize and take into consideration that those challenges really should make your accomplishments all the sweeter. We do hope to address as many questions as you have. So what we'll do today, just to give you an idea of the format, we're going to have brief introductions by each of our four panelists that are joining us today. And they're going to share just a little bit about what Cal Poly means to them, any other insights that they'd like to share. And then we're going to have an extensive Q&A section at the end. Now, during the presentations, the chat function will be turned off. So you can just utilize the Q&A function to send us any of the questions that you have. We'll try to hold off on answering any of the questions until the Q&A portion. There'll be some as we go throughout, but that way we can try and have multiple panelists addressing the questions that you do have. And also remember, because it's a webinar, you won't be able to unmute yourself or turn on your camera. And so if you do have any concerns or questions or issues that you want to discuss with us, then go ahead and just type those in the Q&A. And this section, this is going to be recorded. And so you'll be able to watch it later if you need to or want to. But again, a huge congratulations to all of you. And I just want to kick this off with a short video that we've put together for you all. All right, and today the stars of the show really are the panel in addition to yourselves. And we are joined today by Dean Wendt, who is the Dean of College and Science and Mathematics. We have Keith Humphrey, who is our Vice President for Student Affairs. Reagan Bartholomew is a current student in biomedical engineering. And Max Millerman is a recent alumnus, and he studied aerospace engineering. So we will start off today with Dean Wendt.
Thank you very much, Leanne. I'm really happy to be here. And I hope that all of you are doing well and that your loved ones are safe and healthy. I'm the Dean of the College of Science and Mathematics, as Leanne said, and I use the pronouns he, him, his. And I really do enjoy these opportunities to speak to prospective students because I once was a prospective student to Cal Poly. So first of all, congratulations to all of you on being accepted to Cal Poly. It's an extremely selective and competitive process, and it's really wonderful, and it's a terrific accomplishment for you. I know you're wondering about a lot of things right now. And when you're thinking about college, you're wondering which one will be the best place to go, and best in all kinds of ways. Where will I get the best education? Do they have club or intramural sports that I'm interested in? Where will I fit in and feel comfortable? Where will I find these new lifelong friendships? And you might even be thinking, how's the surfing or the hiking or mountain biking? I think the best reason, though, to choose to do anything is that it's going to change your life for the good. And that's what Cal Poly did for me. And that's what Cal Poly can do for you if you choose to come here, which I certainly hope you will. I know it's a big claim to say that Cal Poly changed my life, but it was really here that I discovered that I was a scientist. And I had no way to realize that someday I'd be the dean of the College of Science and Mathematics. I came to Cal Poly as a first-generation student, and it was the faculty and staff that helped me see things that I didn't even know about myself. When I arrived, I had no idea I was going to become a marine biologist or go to graduate school at Harvard University or spend 2 years as a postdoc at the University of Hawaii. But it was the faculty and staff that took an interest in my professional and intellectual development. And through their dedication to my learning, I was able to chart a course for my life that I couldn't have imagined. And it's something that Anthony Jack, who's an author, says, it allowed me to realize dreams undreamt. And I'm telling you, that's what Cal Poly can do for you. Now, it's true that college is going to change your life no matter what. But I bet when you talk to any current Cal Poly students or alumni, you'll hear the same kinds of stories from all of us that you won't hear necessarily from students at other universities. And these stories about learn by doing, and they're about a close relationship with faculty and staff. So, for example, I want to tell you a little bit about a biology major named Crystal Castillo. She was an undergraduate that started working with a professor in the biological sciences department. Through asking questions that no one had ever asked before, designing experiments and solving these problems in the lab, Crystal discovered new scientific knowledge. And more importantly, she discovered her deep interest and talent in behavioral ecology and a sense of confidence in her abilities. Her professors, in fact, encouraged her to write a proposal for one of the most prestigious science fellowships in our country. And she actually earned that graduate research fellowship from the National Science Foundation. And that's really thanks to her relationship with those professors and her hard work. And that was not even anything that she had ever thought about when she first came to Cal Poly. These kinds of opportunities, they exist in every college, whether it's the architecture studios, enterprise activities in agriculture, the concrete canoe competition in engineering. You'll be working closely with faculty members on innovative projects that can make a real difference in the world and also change how you see and approach the world. I want to tell you one more story about an honored alumni. Tim Geislinger summed up the impact of Cal Poly and the education he got here really well. Tim led the research and development team at Beyond Meat and developed the Beyond Burger. That's the first plant-based product to be sold on the meat counter that cooks and tastes like meat. When I asked him, what are the keys to your success and how did Cal Poly help with that? What he said was, what Cal Poly taught me was the power of doing. It showed me that if I could do, I could change the world. Because Cal Poly focuses so intently on hands-on learning, that learn by doing, I left Cal Poly with a set of skills that enabled me to contribute in meaningful ways. Tim said that at the beginning of a project, he really never knows exactly how he's going to get to the end result, but he knows how to execute, how to chart a course in uncharted territory, how to approach problems and develop innovative solutions. He says that is what Cal Poly's Learn by Doing curriculum taught him. These stories give you an idea of how exciting the opportunities are at Cal Poly. I know you have a lot of choices, and I want to close by saying what's most important in your decision is finding an institution that suits you as a learner. If you want a place where the professors are dedicated to your success, where you'll be engaged in innovative lectures and labs with hands-on active learning, where you can discover new things that no one has done before, and where you can reap the benefits of that learn by doing, like those that I described for Crystal and Tim, well, then Cal Poly is the place for you. And I hope you'll join us. Thank you, and I hope to see you next fall.
Thank you so much, Dean Wendt. That was fantastic. And I didn't realize that you were a graduate as well.
Yes, 1993. I know it sounds like a long time ago.
Oh, it was yesterday. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, next we're going to hear from Keith Humphrey, who is our Vice President for Student Affairs.
Thanks, Leanne. Good afternoon, everybody. Hello and welcome. Like Leanne said, my name is Keith Humphrey. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm Vice President for Student Affairs, and I also want to add myself to the long list of folks who want to offer you my sincerest congratulations on your admission to Cal Poly. It is no small feat and a great recognition of the hard work and involvement that you've had outside the classroom and inside the classroom over the past 18 years. You heard some great stories from Dean Went about the power of learn by doing and how that philosophy really helps our students achieve their long-term success, both on campus and well beyond it in their professional lives, and really how they're changing society. And part of my role, why I love my job so much, is that it's really to help complement learn by doing and make sure that the quality of your out-of-class experience matches the quality of that in-class experience. We do that by giving you meaningful experiences and opportunities that help you create strong relationships with your peers, learn about different perspectives and ways of making meaning in the world, and connect your classroom to your out-of-class experience. I'm going to tell you about a few things that we do to help make the experience really special. There is so much that goes on outside the classroom at Cal Poly that I can't possibly touch on it in the time that I have. First thing that we do is we try to create community by centering issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion across everything that we do. This is clearly the most promising and an important issue of our time. And we try to infuse those issues throughout every single one of our programs. Of course, that's come out most presently in our Student Diversity and Belonging Department that hosts our Black Academic Excellence Center, our Dream Center, our Multicultural Center, and so many other things. But that ethos is infused throughout all aspects of the Cal Poly student experience, including housing, where you get to select a living learning community based on your major, another interest, or maybe an affiliation with an identity. We have on-site counseling and academic support, faculty who hold office hours right there in the residence hall community for you. Our students are deeply involved outside the classroom. There are over 300 clubs and organizations, several dozen fraternities and sororities, all of whom are contributing richly to our campus life. About 14% of our students are part of fraternity and sorority life at Cal Poly. And you can check out right now all of the things that we're doing virtually for our students in the What's Up Now guide in the Cal Poly Now app. There's typically about 500 to 600 things going on every week for students. And you can just imagine how all of those things will translate back into the in-person experience when we're together again as a full community in the fall. We also really like to focus on providing you civic engagement opportunities as part of your experience. We know that Cal Poly students are most powerful when they are contributing to the community, both on campus, in San Luis Obispo, and throughout the world. So you'll have opportunities to participate with our Center for Service and Action that provides service learning opportunities locally, nationally, and actually all around the world throughout your Cal Poly experience. Our Center for Leadership offers certificate series for students to grow their leadership potential. Not everybody can hold a positional leadership position. We only have one student body president, but we want to make sure that every student has the leadership skills and abilities to succeed in whatever their chosen career path is. And of course, there's our fantastic ASI Student Government that runs our union, our rec center, and provides great advice to folks like me on how to make the student experience better every day. Now, you're probably also really concerned about health and well-being, and we all are right now during the pandemic. And while that's certainly been a focus, and we hope to be moving past that, when you're with us in the fall, know that you have a full dedicated health and counseling team that is here to serve you. We do over 30,000 visits and have a full pharmacy, X-ray, and basic orthopedic services on campus for people who fall off their skateboards on campus. That does happen from time to time. We have 21 counselors on staff who meet with our students in one-on-one and in group therapy. And a lot of our focus this year, of course, has been focused on the pandemic. Cal Poly's done over 130,000 COVID-19 tests in our community of just our students, faculty, and staff. And one of the things that's really exciting about that is our test that we use right now is a saliva-based PCR test that was developed by our faculty. And our students are part of the ongoing testing effort on campus. So tons of great learn by doing opportunities have come out of the pandemic for our students. We also have those great recreational and club sports. I heard that mentioned earlier. Those are getting restarted on our campus as public health conditions continue to improve throughout San Luis Obispo. So we're really excited for all of that activity to come back to life on our campus. Finally, probably one of the most important things is to make sure that you all know that we're here to support you and help you develop your path and how you want to contribute to society, whether that's moving right into the workforce, going to graduate school, or if you're not sure what it is, figuring that out for you. Our team in Career Services has a dedicated freshman focus team. We want to make sure that we are starting that conversation and helping you on that journey right from the very beginning. We have annually more than 12,000 employers that partner, employers that partner with us either by posting jobs or participating in our annual career fairs. And I think a really exciting thing to know about a place like Cal Poly, because of the quality of the academic experience and the quality of our students, whenever we see economic downturns like we did in 2008, 2009, and when we're seeing the signs of one during the pandemic, Cal Poly remains an institution of choice for employers to come and seek and recruit talent because our students are the best of the best. Our employers tell us regularly that their Cal Poly students are 6 to 9 months ahead of every other university's graduates that they hire, and that allows our students to advance much faster in their careers. You'll see some statistics later on the screen, but 93% of our students are positively engaged in a career or graduate school path that directly relates to their college or major. 4 out of 5 of them have a job prior to graduation, something that I know the parents and supporters on the call are excited to hear. And 100% of our students have found that destination within 9 months. So our goal in student affairs and in the out-of-class experience at Cal Poly is really to celebrate with you, to create a comprehensive approach so that you are healthy, happy, safe, successful, and really in-demand graduates that we know you're going to be. So I just want to close where I started by saying congratulations again to everybody. I'm getting really hungry seeing those fabulous Slodoko donuts on the screen. I may have to stop there after this and pick up a few. Congratulations on your admission. Hopefully we will see you as part of the Cal Poly community in the fall, and I look forward to answering your questions later in the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. That was my goal there, was to make everybody hungry for life and slow. So it worked, huh? Anyway, next we're going to hear from Reagan Bartholomew, who is a current student. And she hails from, where is that, Reagan? Where do you
Boulder, Colorado.
Boulder, Colorado. All right. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Reagan Bartholomew. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm from Boulder, Colorado. I went to Fairview, so shout out to the Knights. And my major is actually biology. I started in biomedical engineering, and that's a really great myth to debust about Cal Poly, is that you can't change majors, because I did it twice and I'm so happy in biology. And yeah, back 4 years ago now, because I'm a 4th year, which is wild to think about, I stepped foot onto the Cal Poly's campus for the first time, and I immediately knew that I was at home. And the second I saw the green hills around the campus, I knew that there was nothing, like nowhere else would ever compare for me. Even being from a place with the Flatirons. Yeah. I chose Cal Poly, and I've never regretted it. It was a little bit hard transitioning. Kind of took me a quarter or two to really find my groove, but I think you'll find that in any college you go to. It takes a little time to find your place, but the people, the faculty, and my peers really helped me feel at home at Cal Poly at all times. So I'm really glad that I had all of that. Yeah. And just living in SLO has been an amazing opportunity. Right now, I'm actually in Solvang, which is about an hour south of SLO, just for a little day trip, because there's always new places to explore around here, which is really cool. And then the community in SLO is also amazing. Just being in a college town, I feel like people are always willing to help you get involved. I've found so many different volunteering and jobs in the community that have really helped me further what I want to do with my major. And then with school being online for COVID, it's definitely been a big change, but I know my professors have worked really hard to make it still the learn by doing aspect of college. And they've done that by like giving us shared videos. A ton of my professors went in to campus and recorded themselves doing our labs. So it kind of feel like you're still doing it. That really impressed me and just showed the dedication of all of my professors to make sure we still get to learn all these cool things that we get to see. And yeah, I just really have loved getting to be in the small classes, knowing everyone, and getting to be really close to my professors has helped a lot. I love Cal Poly. I couldn't say a bad thing about it. And yeah.
That's great. Thanks so much, Reagan. And we'll hear a lot more from you during the Q&A section, I'm sure. And last but certainly not least, brings us to Max Millerman. Max is a recent graduate in aerospace engineering, and he also comes originally from Colorado. So thanks for coming today, Max.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Leanne. So yeah, my name is Max. I was born and raised in Colorado. I'm from Littleton. I went to Heritage High School. So, hopefully we have some Heritage folks. So I actually graduated in 2020. So I was asked to speak more about the kind of the return on investment that I got from Cal Poly. So the reason I chose Cal Poly, Boulder was a great aerospace school that was in town. But I kind of wanted to, try something different, move out to the West Coast. There was a ton of job opportunities out here, and it was kind of somewhere I saw myself moving. So I traded my skis for a surfboard, and I just went for it, and I loved every second of it. I met some of my best friends right off the bat. I'm still friends with them to this day. So in terms of career readiness, one of the things Cal Poly does, and I'm sure you'll hear a lot about this, is their first classes are very hands-on. So you're not just going to be spending a lot of time, obviously you get the theoretical base, but like right off the bat, you're going to be in the lab. Getting your hands dirty, which is really awesome because it allows you to leverage that hands-on experience to get early internship. So I'll kind of run you through my experience. So between my freshman and my sophomore year, I decided to study abroad so I could still graduate in 4 years. So I did that over the summer. Didn't have an opportunity to intern then. But my sophomore year, I actually interned with I did research on campus with the physics department because I'm a physics minor. And then my third year, we have these wonderful career fairs that happen a couple of times every year. And basically what happens is employers come to Cal Poly because they love our students and want to recruit heavily from our campus. And so I ended up speaking to this company and this person out of San Diego, this manufacturing company, just hit it off with this person, interviewed with them, got the opportunity, moved down here between my junior and senior year of college. And that's when I fell in love with San Diego, really wanted to come back. And so last year, I guess, December of 2020, before I graduated, I was able to secure an a job opportunity with Northrop Grumman, which is a big aerospace defense contractor down in San Diego. And I got that also through just the career fair. I literally just went, handed my resume in, and they liked what I had to offer. And so, yeah, I've been down here since then. And the skills that I learned at Cal Poly were immediately applicable. And one of the reasons that a lot of employers look to Cal Poly students, and I can speak to the engineering specifically, but I know it's across the board with all the majors, is that, like I believe Keith talked about it, how we have 6 months to 9 months less of training. And that's absolutely true because we have that hands-on knowledge with that theoretical base. So, right off the bat, I'm using skills that I developed as a freshman in college. And so I already had 4 years of experience working with things like GD&T, solid modeling, all sorts of simulation software like that. and I've been able to jump in and try my hand at a lot of different projects. And so for that, I'm incredibly thankful. And, the professors do a really good job of preparing you, for that career because, we're very much, oriented towards getting you out into the workforce and making sure you have the tools to succeed early. And so, I ended up in San Diego, but that was just because that's where I wanted to go. I had a number of friends from Cal Poly who went back to their hometowns. I have a ton of friends who are in Denver nowadays. And so it's not just opportunities within, California. We have recruiters that come and recruit Cal Poly students for, all across the United States. And so, yeah, feel free, I'm sure there's going to be a ton of questions. And if you have any questions specific about, being out of state or engineering specific or anything, specific about my experience, I'd be happy to talk about that. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Max. I really appreciate that, and wearing kind of double hats there for you today. So we are now going to open it up to the Q&A section. I'm going to stop sharing here so that you can see everyone's lovely faces and make it a little bit more personal. Normally, we would be having this in person, obviously, and so there'd be a lot more opportunity for just sort of informal chats and question answering and those sorts of things. So we'll do our best with what we can here today. But a couple of questions that have come through, a couple of sports related ones. I don't know if anyone knows, do we have a club cross country and or track and field team?
We do. It is called the Distance Team. There are about 25 or 30 different organizations that are club sports that travel around and compete with other universities, and our Distance Team is one of them.
Fantastic. Great. And then right along with that, how popular are football and different sports games? Is there a particularly strong and more popular sport than others?
Well, Keith, I don't know. It looks like you were going to answer that. So please.
Well, I was gonna encourage either Regan or Max. Let our students answer the question.
Yeah. What do you guys go to mostly?
I know my highlight every year for the sports was I think it's the blue and gold rivalry, which is UCSB and Cal Poly men's soccer game. And the whole school shows up for that. It's a pretty big deal. It's a really fun day. Yeah, that one's definitely the highlight, I think, of the sports games. But I'm pretty sure all sports has free tickets for students. Yes, great. So it's always really easy to go to the games, and they're really fun. I've never regretted going to one.
Great.
I can add some stuff too. So obviously, big fan of the Cal Poly Santa Barbara rivalry. But later in college, I started to kind of branch out and try different sports. Our baseball team is fantastic. I've been to a ton of baseball games. And then my roommate, he was actually on the club lacrosse team. So we got really into following our club lacrosse team, our men's club lacrosse team. And actually right before the pandemic happened, we were ranked #1. So shout out to them. If they had continued the season, who would have known? But yeah, so there's plenty of opportunities, and you're going to meet a ton of folks with a bunch of different interests. But I've been to a number of football games as well. Definitely our biggest single sport event is that the Cal Poly Santa Barbara game.
And I just have to add also that we have beach volleyball now, and we're actually very competitive nationally in beach volleyball, which is exciting to watch.
Nice. Great. Well, we're going to totally shift here and answer an academically related question. And these are kind of tied together, so I'm going to kind of put them together if that's all right. One is, do most engineering majors graduate in 4 years? And then somebody else has asked, they heard that it's very difficult to register for classes. And so is that true? And a broader, how many students do graduate within 4 years? So I don't know who wants to,
I will
Max,
take,
and Max is a recent engineer. How long did it take you to graduate, Max?
So it took me 4 years to graduate.
Okay. I was going to say, I probably should have vetted that and made sure it didn't take you 7.5 years before I threw that out there. So I know for aerospace specifically, our professors are phenomenal, and they really encourage you to stay on that 4-year track. And I know engineering, we have a ton of classes, and it's very set.
But a lot of you will be coming in with AP credits, which kind of free up some of those early classes. But I know the vast majority of students can graduate in 4. There's opportunity to stay longer. And it really just is, if you're staying on top of it and making sure you have a plan long-term, which, your professors will help you with, you'll be out in 4. I saw a question about the 4+1 program. I'm sure we can get to that as well. But I know that's sometimes students stay longer to get that master's degree. But like I said, if you're taking the classes when you're supposed to and working with your advisors, like there's no issue getting out in 4.
Yeah, kind of going off of that, registering for classes, I think just planning ahead of it and like making sure you have backup plans makes it super approachable. I've had like tiny issues with registration, but never something where I was completely in the lost, couldn't get into a class or anything problematic like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I always like to tell parents at orientation that usually when their students call home and say, I didn't get any classes, to say to the students, that's not a complete sentence. Usually what the students mean is I didn't get any classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 11 and 2 p.m., which is a fantastic schedule, and that's called being a senior. But most times that I work really closely one-on-one with a lot of students who don't get classes that they think they need in their first initial registration approach, there are thousands of seats available that actually meet their needs. They just may be sometimes at 8 a.m. An 8 a.m. class does come into every college student's life at some point in time, even at a place like Cal Poly.
And Reagan, I've got a double-barreled question for you. How about that? One is, how difficult is it to change majors? And then also, and I don't know if you'll be able to address this though, since you started in biomedical engineering, but someone's wondering what learn by doing looks like for a first-year biology student with a focus on anatomy.
Cool. My concentration is anatomy and physiology, so I should be able to get at that one. But changing majors, I actually changed majors twice. I started in biomedical engineering, and then I went to animal science, and then I found my happy place in biology. But I spent my first quarter in as a BMed, which is biomedical engineering, and I realized very quickly engineering was not for me. Wish it was. I think it's amazing, but you kind of fill out a form, and as long as you stay on top of it and you make sure you meet your requirements, it's pretty much a breeze. I didn't have any issues with it, and I was actually able to kind of like take the classes. I don't know, the classes fit in with biomedical engineering and what I wanted to switch into, so that definitely helped. And you have a ton of resources to help you walk through that process. There's workshops and professors. And I think I met with the dean of the biology department, or the head of the biology department. So a ton of help. And then you take intro biology classes. It's bio 160 through 162. And through that, you have a lab, which covers basically all of biology. You do some anatomy, you do some plant stuff. And it's all like that. Those lab series are super hands-on. We do a ton of work. And yeah, I kind of was a lot of the basis for the rest of the stuff that I spent my college learning on. You don't get to like work on the cadavers right away, but that's coming for you. So it's in the future, and that's kind of what pushed me to keep going with it. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. And we've had a few different questions related to study abroad, quite generally what the study abroad program looks like. And what I can say is that we offer over 500 different programs in 75 different locations right now. So there are lots and lots of different opportunities for you. And it might be anything from a 1-week faculty-led program to a year-long exchange program. But someone's quite curious, Max specifically, aerospace engineering is not known for being an easy major to study abroad. How easy was it for you to study abroad in your major?
Yeah, I saw this one coming up. So my experience with it, the reason I chose to do a summer opportunity as opposed to over, the fall or the spring or something like that was because I wanted to do study abroad where I was taking general education classes so I could focus more on like the abroad experience. there are opportunities within engineering specifically I know in the mechanical program, you can go to China, I believe. I don't know if we still have that program, but you can go to China for a fall and actually take engineering courses out there, which is pretty phenomenal. But for me, I really wanted to go to Thailand. The only time that they had this opportunity was over the summer. And it allowed me to take care of some of those, like I said, those general education courses that weren't major specific, but still able to do that through an abroad program. So again, like Leanne talked about, there's a ton of different opportunities. As an engineer, you absolutely can extend that abroad experience. You just have to work with your career. I think I disconnected. Like I said, for me specifically, this is the program that I was looking for. So I hope that generally answers it.
No, that's really helpful. Thank you. Several questions that are related to, one, what it looked like academically for students this year if they were remote or and living in the residence hall, and then also what are the plans for fall?
Sure, I'll jump in and take this one. This academic year, as Reagan said, the vast majority of our courses have been offered online. We have about 12% of our classes currently offered in person. Students are living on campus. We have about 4,500 students living on campus in the residence halls, all in single rooms, and lots of students who are living off campus in their off-campus communities. But most importantly to you, I know, is what does fall look like? All indicators from the state, from our local public health, and national vaccine-related information suggest that we're going to be able to be back to as close to normal. And all of us are going to try to figure out what that means when we come out of this, but as close to normal as possible in the fall. We will have about 95% of our normal occupancy in housing in the fall. So our first year students will be in doubles, and some of our larger triples will be triples for students again. We are looking at classes somewhere between 80 and 85% of our classes in person. That number changes daily as more faculty and staff get vaccinated, as things in their personal lives change that allow them to come back to campus. Everybody desperately wants to come back to campus. I'm coming back to campus starting April 12th full time. I'm super excited about it because I've missed being there for 13 months. But we're expecting a really robust fall. Slow Days, our summer orientation program, will be hybrid. You'll have the opportunity to do it online if you want to, or in person. And our world famous Week of Welcome will be back fully in person for fall 2021.
Great, thank you so much. I'm wondering, were either of you in the honors program? We've had a couple of questions about that. So Keith, are you familiar with the honors program to any extent, of what specifically, like what the benefits are versus not participating?
A little bit, so it confused me at the beginning when I started at Cal Poly why we have an honors program, because every one of our students are honors caliber students. But the honors program is an opportunity for students to get into a specific living learning community related to the honors program, to take some different sets of courses, to work closely with some different faculty members as part of the honors program, potentially get engaged in some research maybe a little bit earlier, do some extra projects to earn honors related graduation. Dr. Greg Fiegel runs our honors program. It's a fantastic program. There's a really strong community within the students there. But again, I think every student at Cal Poly is really an honors student. So it's just a chance for you if you want to push yourself and go even further than the traditional Cal Poly experience.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. A few people are asking specifically about like how difficult it has been to get courses, and I think Keith, you sort of talked about that a little bit already. But related to that, Reagan, somebody's asking, when you did change your major, did that put you back at all, or were you able to still graduate on time?
I'm still graduating on time. I actually could have graduated this quarter or winter quarter if I wanted to. But I wanted to graduate in the spring and get one last quarter in. But I definitely had to put in some more work to catch up some quarters, but I was just taking an extra class or two. I never felt like I was too behind on my classes switching majors. And I actually did take a summer quarter. I took two because the classes were discounted for COVID the first summer. So I figured why not? But the first summer was to kind of catch up and get some stuff out of the way. And that was a huge help. And it was actually really nice to be in SLO for the summer and get to experience it go to the beach like almost every day. I really liked it. I'd recommend summer classes. They were nice.
Nice. Thank you. We're going to do one more academic and then we're going to switch over to more social things and housing. But both of you start well in College of Science and Mathematics and then also College of Engineering. How difficult has it been to balance your academic work and just sort of life in general? Have you found it overwhelming, or have you been able to kind of have life outside of a classroom?
Yeah, I can talk about this. That was the reason I chose Cal Poly, because I felt that the balance was there, right? So I wanted a rigorous engineering program, and I looked at Georgia Tech, Berkeley, and Cal Poly were the three colleges it came down to. And when I visited Cal Poly's campus, obviously pre-COVID, everyone was outside doing stuff. The weather was beautiful. It seemed like there was a really solid balance between students, getting their work done and actually having a good time too. So I'm not gonna lie, you're going to a top tier university that's really gonna demand a lot of you. But like I said, I chose it specifically for that balance. So for example, I was an official university ambassador. I coached soccer in the community. I would go surfing basically every week. I was able to do engineering clubs, and still have plenty of time for my friends. So like I said, you're going to grind and you're going to get it done. But like at the same time, that was the reason that I chose to go there, specifically because I felt like it had a good balance.
Yeah, I actually had a pretty similar experience to Max. I visited other campuses that were similar academics to Cal Poly. And I kind of noticed that everyone was just plugged into their computer and not talking to anyone else, just straight focus on school. And when I visited Cal Poly, you see people just lying out on the lawns and kind of getting their relaxed time in between classes, and just all the nature around Cal Poly definitely showed me that there is a way to step away from school. And that was a huge way for me to find the balance, was getting on hikes and also going surfing, that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, if you prioritize right, which is definitely a skill that you're going to learn no matter what college you go to, it's super possible to balance classes and extracurriculars.
Nice. Thanks so much. So we're going to pivot a little bit and talk about student accommodation. So one, are the student residences co-ed? What are they like? And if you all want to talk a little bit, and all three of you are perfect for this, talk a little bit about kind of just the structure of them and how one even applies and what that process looks like.
I will start and give you kind of the basics, but I'll let our students talk about their experience living on campus. Our buildings are, for first-year students, are required to live on campus. Our second-year students, we are moving towards required second-year student housing. Students who are admitted for fall of 2021, that's you all, who are students in the Cal Poly Scholars Program, student athletes, students in architecture college, agriculture, environmental sciences, or engineering will be required to live on campus for your second year. First year residence halls are all double or triple rooms for students, community bathrooms. All of our buildings are co-ed. Our Yaki Tutu residential complex, which is what's behind me in the picture, our newest residence hall, are all gender restroom facilities. very, very private, but the person in the shower next to you could be of someone who identifies as a different gender. We do ask that students express their preferences for where they live by May 7th. We like to run all of our first year programs by residential living learning community, and we've talked a lot about that this year. And we hope to be able to bring those back. We did put all of our living learning communities on hold because of COVID. And as we continue to get guidance and as public health conditions continue to improve and change, that will dictate how we're going to be able to run housing for fall of 2021. So our housing department will hold assignments to students a little bit longer than normal this coming summer. I'll just give you some fair warning, just to make sure that we are in as positive a public health space as possible before we go ahead and make those assignments. But I'll let our students talk about what their experience is like living on campus.
Yeah, I only lived on campus my first year. I lived in Sierra Madre, which is known as the Towers. And I was in the engineering community because I started out as biomedical engineering. And actually to this day, I'm still living with my freshman year roommate, and all of my friends from the dorms are still my best friends. I love the dorms. I don't, yeah. It was kind of fun with the community bathrooms. I feel like every night, my dorm was split up as males, females, males. And every night I feel like we would all just go in the bathroom and have like a little gossip chat, you know? Yeah, definitely a little difficult to see the new dorms getting built outside, made me a little jealous, but I absolutely love my dorm. And I think it really fostered the community that I needed to really make Cal Poly feel like home.
So I actually, I love the dorm experience, the resident hall experience. I lived on a floor with 50 other people in what's called the Red Bricks, and I met my best friends. I like can't even joke about it because I lived with the same folks freshman year throughout the rest of my college. I was off campus the next 2 years, and I actually still live with my roommate down in San Diego, is still one of the guys that I met in the residence hall. So just a really great community, kind of gets you outside of who you normally would interact with on a day-to-day basis. So can't speak highly enough about it.
And then let me just add that for second year and continuing students, all of our students in those upper class areas live in apartments. There are 4-bedroom apartments with kitchens, living rooms, and 2 bathrooms. And so every student has their own single room within a 4-bedroom apartment where they get to bring their roommates in at their own choice.
Great. Thank you all so much. That's really helpful. You don't always hear such positive reactions to the student accommodations, do you? So I appreciate that. We've got a couple questions about the out of classroom experiences. One, somebody's wondering if you've got any experience with the robotics program or related clubs, and I don't know if either of you do. And then a little bit different from that for our Rocky Mountain folks is what types of outdoor experiences do you offer? They want to know specifically, are there backpacking opportunities or outdoor leadership related opportunities?
I was going to let our students answer first. Yeah.
Do you want me to take
Dean is back.
I'm back.
So I don't know. I'm not really, to be honest, super familiar with the robotics clubs specifically, because what I was involved with was not tailored specifically towards robotics. So I'm maybe, Keith or someone else could speak more intimately to that. But I know specifically in the engineering club, if you have an interest in both the mechanics and the electronics and also writing software for stuff, there's a ton of different clubs that you can leverage that in. So we have clubs where you actually build like, automated cars and that sort of thing. We have clubs where, aerospace specific, where we're building aircraft and satellites and that sort of thing, where you can leverage these skills that use certain robotic techniques, within those clubs. A specific robotics club, it's been a year. I'm sorry, I don't remember specifically, but I'm sure someone else can talk more intimately to that.
I will just in general say that I mean, the opportunities for students to get involved in clubs is huge. And whatever your interests are, I bet you there's a club. And if there's not, I bet you can start a club. And there's just a very strong co-curricular and extracurricular community with clubs.
There's another part of the question about outdoors and what life is like outdoors. And you can't come to Cal Poly if you are not interested in being outdoors. You can be at the beach and study, as you heard from Reagan about being in summer school. There are mountains and hiking trails on campus that you can engage in. There's camping. There's all sorts of things that you can do. We have a fantastic program called Poly Escapes, run by our ASI Student Government out of the Rec Center, where you can go on organized trips or as well as rent outdoor equipment to go on a trip of your own that you want to plan. It can be paddleboarding out in the ocean, going winter camping someplace where it gets cold. It doesn't do that much here. Or whatever it is that really interests you, you can definitely find it and do it on the Central Coast.
And there are definitely backpacking opportunities. If you go up into Big Sur, you can backpack, which is just north of campus, about a 45-minute drive or so, depending on how far up you go. And then we do have a little bit further drive. We have the Sierras, and there is spectacular backpacking in that area as well.
Great, thank you so much. So we're getting short on time, so we're gonna have one more question. The question is, and this is specifically for the students, is that did you have to go into debt to attend Cal Poly, and was it worth it? And then, because that could be a downer, I want to add on all four of you to tell me the one piece of advice that you would give to an out-of-state student.
I can start. I was pretty lucky. My family set aside money prior to going to college, and for out-of-state colleges, I think Cal Poly is very reasonable and affordable. And I do think the extra money to go out of state was absolutely worth it for me. I have no regret choosing Cal Poly over an in-state school. I'm really glad it kind of took me out of my element and forced me to learn some new things. And I think the best advice that my mom gave me going to college was to give it a year. And even if you feel like out of place and like this isn't the right school for you in the first few months, to give it a full year and to see like how you feel at the end of that year, because it's not always exactly what you expect in the first few weeks, but it's just being open to whatever challenges and exciting things come for you.
So I am in debt. I had student loans all throughout college. So actually one of the biggest reasons that I chose Cal Poly over these other, amazing engineering schools that I was looking at was it was actually the same cost to go out of state to Cal Poly as it was at the time for me to go in state to CU Boulder. And so I looked at it and I saw, this is an awesome opportunity. I'm happy to, go a little bit in debt, particularly because I was also very certain that by the end of my college experience, that paying the amount of money that I was ultimately going to pay off, which is absolutely the case. I mean, I had a job before I graduated, and so I was never too worried about that aspect of things. But I do understand that, the cost of it is definitely something to think about. But for me personally, and the program that I chose, it absolutely has paid off. And so my piece of advice, I think the parents and supporters are going to love this, but definitely give them a call, because there was many times where I was having a blast or getting caught up, my day-to-day stuff that I, would go, a week or two without talking to someone within my family. So highly, highly recommend doing that. It'll make them very happy. So.
If I can add on to the debt question, I don't have debt from Cal Poly because I'm not a student. But what I think is an important thing to know about our students who carry debt is we have one of the lowest loan default rates for any university in the country. And that means that our students are getting the jobs that are high-paying jobs and paying back their loans. So there's a really, really strong return on investment there. The piece of advice that I would add to folks is just come ready and don't try to be who you were in high school. Be ready to explore new things, meet new people, think about the world differently, try new foods, new ways of living, and just open yourself up to all that the experience has for you. That will make you a better, more well-rounded person in general.
Yeah, I would just add to that, we're here to support you. We know that it's not a simple transition. And, as Reagan said, it does take a little bit of while. It takes a little while to transition, and you have to give it that time. But know that there is a network of support for you. If that is the fellow students that are here, or your professors, and then the different communities that people connect to. I think that is really important. Is taking the time to get connected. And that could be to a club, it could be to a research group. We do a lot of undergraduate research here, and there's a lot of community built around those groups as well. So really lean in and find those connections.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you all so much for joining us today. It's been amazing. I really appreciate your firsthand knowledge and experience with the university, and I'm sure that our prospective students and our new Mustangs are appreciative of it as well. As we wrap up, I just want to remind everyone of some upcoming events that we've got. The Polycultural Weekend, and everything is virtual, obviously, but that'll be the first weekend of April. You will be receiving information about the open house, which again, virtual events from April 8th to the 15th. Keep in mind and remember that we've got a series of various webinars. So if you want to dig down deeper into housing, you can attend one of those. If you want financial aid information, those sorts of things. And every Monday, we've got our Instagram Lives. And so those are really helpful for students. And again, a variety of topics that will be covered. And if you ever have any questions at all throughout this process, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Our participants on the panel here would be more than welcome to answer any questions that you might have as well. And if they're comfortable putting their contact information in the chat, if they haven't done so already, then they can do that. And all of the information, as I said, you'll check your portal, make sure that you're checking emails for important deadlines, as well as registration information and things like that. But I just want to thank you all again so much for participating today. And we look forward to seeing you in the fall. Thanks for coming.
Hi there, my name is Rafael. I'm a fourth-year journalism transfer student with a minor in Spanish, and my pronouns are he, him, his. Thank you for watching the video. Please share any questions or comments you have down below in the comment section, and go ahead and click here to subscribe. And to watch more videos, click here. If you want to sign up for a virtual visit or talk to any student or staff members, check out our website. Link in the description. Thank you for watching.